Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Full-Time Reds. Tottenham Hotspur 2, Liverpool 2 from the London Tottenham Stadium. I genuinely can't remember the name of that ground. White Hart Lane. I'm Gav, and with me I have Kev. We're going to do about 20 minutes because our main show, the Fatback 4, will be on later this evening. If you're watching, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you're listening to the audio, download later on, hit the review button and give us a review. Kev, I'm going to come straight out with it. I am fucking disgusted following that.
It's bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
On so many levels, that was bad. Look, result aside, you take the point after that performance. We were lucky to get a point. Spurs should have been out of sight so many times in that game. They had 5 or 6 clear-cut chances that they should have buried and didn't. And when we got ourselves in front, mistake that, look, I don't mind Allison coming for balls and clearing them. He gets it right almost all the time, but when he doesn't, it's going to cost you. So it is what it is. But it was vital that we come out of that with a point. And then we'll get on to the main talking point about Paul. Is it Paul Tierney? Is his name?
Paul Tierney, yeah.
Unfortunately, these referees are becoming like mini celebrities now. Where you're getting to know about their names too much.
I enjoyed the game. Don't get me
I
wrong.
enjoyed the game. It was a cracking game of football.
I thought it was a Spurs side coming back after having, that
Nice
time
rest.
off because of COVID, and trying to progress under Conte. And you had Liverpool side going in without Virgil van Dijk and their whole starting midfield. And I thought it was a good game. Liverpool start brightly. Liverpool start very brightly. They come back into it. Kane scores. There's loads of chances for Spurs. They seem to play well on the break. We weren't quite at it, but I thought
we were always thereabouts with chances.
Yeah, we were always thereabouts. But the thing is, like, Kev, like, I can't get away from the refereeing decision.
No,
I just can't get away from it. And like, there'd be people coming in here like saying, "Oh, well, this and that about Liverpool." Like, I'm literally just after watching this game, and you're right in what you're saying. Spurs had good chances and could have had a couple more. Yeah, but it's all down for me to the fact that he makes 3 bad decisions for me, really bad decisions for me. The first one is the Kane tackle on Andy Robertson. And how that is not a red card is fucking beyond me. And then, like, I don't know
what happened later on. Yeah,
I don't know if Andy Robertson has much argument later on, right?
No, he doesn't.
Right, but
in the context of the first one, he does.
Exactly. And then the one on Jota for the penalty is
nailed on.
Like, what the fuck is going on? But
they said it in the commentary, and they were actually pretty right in what they said for once. It seems like last week there was rakes of penalties, and this week they've decided we're not giving anything unless someone gets absolutely sived down. And that's what happened. That's how the day played out. There was one earlier on today. There was a Stonewall penalty as well. It wasn't given. And that one today was an absolute Stonewall penalty. It was an elbow straight into the back. And it's a penalty. It's a foul anywhere else on the pitch. And Klopp got booked for pointing that out in the first half when a foul was given, I think, on Mane for exactly the same thing. That he didn't give a foul in the box for. It's just cowardice from a referee that if you didn't see it, fair enough. But if the VAR, if you did see it,
but the thing is,
the VAR can't overrule it because it's not a clear and obvious error because you said you've seen it and you decided it's not a foul. But it's just a play on words, but that's the way it is.
And we'll get into this later on because we're literally going to do 15, 20 minutes and just immediate reaction and more what people are saying here in the chat. And we're going to throw loads of them up. Like Zeb Malik says, please explain how Robbo's was worse than Kane's. It's not the case that it's worse. For me, it's the case that Harry Kane goes in with his foot off the ground. He's above Robertson's ankle, cleans him out. Okay, it's a red card. It's a red
ball's
card.
Nowhere to be seen.
Right? The ball's well out of the way, right?
Yeah.
And he gives a yellow card. And VAR don't open their fucking mouth, okay? Nope. The yellow card, right? Later on, Robertson smashes into Emerson Royale.
Yeah.
Smashes into him, right? He gives a yellow card, and all of a sudden VAR are awake. Can you go over to the screen and check that, please? And he goes over and changes it to a red. And I can't, for the life of me, get my head around the fact that you're checking one, and you're not checking the other. Like, even if VAR, VAR are meant to be impartial and helpful to referees, and I keep going on about this, but even if in common sense, if someone in the VAR saying, I didn't step in on that, fuck, I missed it. When the one happens later, you should probably go, you know what, I'm leaving him alone because I fucked up earlier on. But they don't. They double down on it, and they turn around and go, check it. And he checks it, and Robertson you know, I just can't get over it. Now, that's not getting away from the game. We're going to talk about the game in detail later because, you know, we played with the dealt we were hand with.
There's so much that happened in that game.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was so much that happened in that game. It's almost like I need to see some sort of highlights package to just refresh everything in my head again because it was end to end. It was an absolute belting game of football.
Yeah, it was a brilliant game of football.
Unfortunately, it's a game of football that I wish I could have watched that I didn't have a vested interest in it. Because when your side is involved in those games, it's horrible. You know, if that was two sides that I didn't give a shit about, then I'd love it. I'd be entertained. I'd be happy. I'd be delighted to watch it. But my God, we rode our luck so much in parts of that game.
But we did. Time, but there's no doubt about it, right? Kev, you have to make allowances on certain things. For me, anyway, right? Keeper can have a bad game. It happens, right? You've got two centre backs that haven't played an awful lot of football together. One is a new signing, right? Fair enough. You've got a midfield that consists of Tyler Morton. You've got Naby Keita that's only played about 10 minutes after coming back from injury, I think. And you have James Milner, who's 36 years of age, right? So we're kind of fitting things in there in midfield, and then that's going to affect defensively. It's going to affect your shape. It's going to affect you going forward. And I've no problem with that. If we went out today and there was no Harry Kane tackle, no Robertson tackle, and Spurs win that 3-2, you go, you know what? We weren't great. It was a great game of football, and you're done.
Yeah, no complaints.
But I'm sitting there after fucking 20 minutes or whatever it is when Harry Kane makes that tackle, and I'm literally sitting there going, this is fucking scandalous. Like,
well, the irony of it is Kane would have had red, and for the penalty, Emerson Royal would have had a second yellow.
Yeah. That's it. That's exactly it.
And the Robbo decision doesn't come into the equation.
No.
Now, I mean, look, even Gary Neville said it in commentary, being England captain gets you some leeway with referees.
Well, that's bullshit because...
But he's can see now that he was right.
Oh, no. He's right what he's saying, but it should be... It can't be like that.
Obviously.
It's like when someone goes in, studs up in the first minute, they go, it's early in the game. Doesn't matter.
Early in the game. You used to get a free one.
Yeah.
You know, those days are supposed to be gone, but obviously they're not.
Great game to watch as the wonky donkey. We're lucky at times. Based on clear chances, we should have lost that game, so a point earned, but it's infuriating seeing officials call things so bad. I've no problem if they send off Andy Robertson. I've no issue if they send off Andy Robertson.
It is a red card.
Right. But you can't send Andy Robertson should probably be sent off. I've no issue with that. But when you go back to the first half, you have a guy along the ground, with his foot up, over the ankle of the opposition player, going straight through him, and he's yellow carded. And not only is he yellow carded, but nobody steps in and says to the ref, Paul, just to let you know, he's gone in above his ankle there, stud showing, right up. It's a red card. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous challenge. Yep. Paul Pogba gets sent off for a challenge that's nowhere near how bad that Harry Kane one is against Naby Keita. Nowhere near. And
the difference was Naby's foot was planted. If Robert's foot was planted, that was his season.
Yeah, gone.
That's his season, and that's his Scotland nation. Qualifiers gone. That is the rest of our season gone. All in a flash for a guy who was up from the crowd and miss. It's a forwards tackle. Bollocks.
Bollocks.
It's absolute horseshit. And the fact that the worst of it is that referees allowing this only encourages it. All it does is encourages it more, and someone is going to get their leg snapped in two by this being allowed to happen.
Yeah.
And that's the most frustrating thing.
And the thing, Bejan says Royal would have never got a second yellow if we were given the penalty. Maybe not, but it's a penalty.
It would have been because it was denying a clear goal scoring. It was denying a goal scoring opportunity in the box. He would have had to have booked him.
Yeah, maybe so.
He would have had no choice. It would have had to have been a booking.
Yeah, Ramirez says the bad thing is we are still an Allison mistake away from winning the game, although he still saved us behind so much this game. Allison, he did make some brilliant saves, and he did make a mistake, but that's football.
I don't want him to ever stop coming for those balls either.
No, but that's football, and I'm okay with that. I could easily sit here with you, Kev, and go, Allison's cost the game there, Kev. It was a great game of football.
We could tear into him and have a right shouty match and slag off everyone, but what's the point?
But for me, you have to give some sort of allowances to the team that were put out there today. In a disruptive week for Liverpool with who can play, who can't play, getting things together, because we know how hard they work on their shape and different things going into games and stuff like that. But it's just I just cannot get over this. I cannot get over. And I actually, do you know what? I looked at it on Twitter and stuff like that when it happened, thinking, will I see much of, was it a red? And every single person I seen, and this is United fans, Arsenal fan, every fan of every club went, how is he still on the pitch?
Because every club is being affected by it now. These decisions are going against every club. Every game, you're getting contentious decisions that referees are either afraid to make or they're being encouraged or told not to make, and make it 11v11 as much as possible, especially earlier on. Some things definitely happened between last week and this week.
But how can you say that you keep it 11-11 as much as possible, and then you do what you do with Andy Robertson? Well, what is different in those situations that makes VAR not open their mouth in the first one and make a point to the referee?
I have no idea. I mean, at the end of the day, I've said it on this podcast so many times now that we should hear that conversation. We're entitled to hear that conversation, that decision-making process between the two.
Because they would have had to go back and say, leave it as a yellow, would he? But do you think they would have come out over his ear and said, yellow's fine, walk away?
Yeah. That's what they would have done. They would have checked every yellow card. Is it a potential red card incident? They would have had to check it, and they said, no, yellow is sufficient.
Yeah.
But we can only guess that that's what's being said because we're not allowed. Apparently, we're not adult enough or grown up enough. We don't have the intellect to be able to listen to that conversation. And like when you're watching rugby, you watch the Six Nations when it starts in February. We'll hear all those conversations, and we'll be more informed for it.
Yeah, and
we'll be smarter for it.
And people probably think that I enjoy talking about this, but I don't, because it infuriates me. And everything about the Premier League now at this stage infuriates me. The way they've carried on with this COVID stuff, and then this today. Paulie Wallen said it's gas how many pens will be given on the next match day because of this bollocks up today. And he's right. Because what will happen is, they instead of doubling down, they go completely the other way. And they'll start giving all sorts of stuff for a hand on a shoulder or whatever it would have been. But Paul Tierney is a fucking disgrace, and I'll make no bones about saying that, because I'm watching him there today, and he's dishing out yellow cards for this, that, and the other.
Well, Naby got a yellow card after being elbowed in the face.
Yeah, Naby basically gets elbowed in the face, turns to Tierney to say, why is that not a free kick, and gets a yellow for it.
Yeah. Or why isn't that a booking or whatever it is? He just had the temerity to turn around and question a decision of his, and he gets booked for dissent.
Yeah.
And Tsimikas gets booked for time wasting. But you know what? You're the man with the whistle. Add the fucking time on.
Yeah. It's points dropped regardless. We're in a title race where City won't drop points. It is for me.
But
there's an argument.
This idea that City won't drop points is a fallacy.
Yeah,
because look at who they're beating. Let's be fair.
But the thing is, it is points dropped for me, despite
how
open we were. Despite how open we were, I still think if you look at that game in chronological order, like you said earlier, he goes off the pitch. We have 11 versus 10.
Yeah.
All right, for a huge chunk of it. Okay, and our left back isn't getting fucking sent off, and we're getting a penalty as well on top of it. Look, it's just one of these.
It's decisions like that title races can swing on. I mean, I haven't seen the Chelsea Wolves game, but I assume there was definitely going to be decisions in that game as well today. The Man City one earlier on, fine, it didn't affect the result, but Ederson was a clear penalty. On Fraser, on Ryan Fraser, and what's that basically saying now is keepers are entitled to clean out everyone in the box whether they had the ball or not. Yeah, but that's what it says.
Yeah, I know, but and I want to keep the actual talk about the game itself, the goals and stuff like that to later on. But the big talking point coming out of it is this, and we're trying to give an immediate reaction, and anything that kind of happened in the game, football and wise, is for me overshadowed right now in an immediate reaction to the events with Paul Tierney, which I just think is fucking scandalous. I
honestly thought he was going to send Klopp off.
But
he came over for the booking.
But that's the thing. Klopp is making a point about something that he's completely right on, and now you're not allowed to do that either.
No,
and
now Robbo's straight red means he misses the Chelsea game as well.
3 game ban.
3 game ban, straight red.
Yeah. So now I don't know. Can you?
You can appeal it. Yeah. But it is a red light. There's nothing. There's no grounds to appeal it because when you look at it is excessive force. He did lash out. He did catch him. There's no.
Harry Kane, Declan Max says, Kane's word on Sky, defo wasn't a red, it was a strong tackle, but I won the ball.
Where was the ball? What ball? There was no ball. The ball was nowhere near.
Now, come on.
The ball was a mile gone.
And Reece McCardle says decisions have gone against teams before VAR. They absolutely have, Reece. But what we're trying to say is, if you make a decision and you get it wrong, that's fine. But don't make one wrong and then the fella that's meant to back you up does nothing about it. That's what VAR is all about. It's all about them backing up and saying, lads, look, or whoever's in that box or in the van, wherever the fuck they are, he comes and says, Paul, listen, you've given a yellow, I've looked it back, you need to go and look at this on the screen because I think it's a red card. Or I'm not too sure you have
at least
look.
Do
you know what I mean?
At least make it look like you're checking yourself, rather than saying, no, I saw it, I'm 100% right. It takes 30 seconds. Go and look at the screen. Make sure that you're right.
Yeah, but it's not.
That's what it is.
But the thing is, for me, is that the VAR should be just going, that's a red card.
They should. I know they should. Yeah.
No, they're not going to. But that's a red card. In our opinion, that's a red card. So go and look at it, or give any reason for them to go and look at it. We think it's a red. It could be a red. You might need to have another look at this from this angle because he's very high. But like Reece says here, how minimal do we want VAR to intervene? At this rate, we will only get a VAR in instances like Maradona and not much else. I want them to intervene on possible red cards, which they said they would. That's what I want them to do. Like, I want them to intervene and say, that could possibly be a red card, Paul. Right? And not only, we could argue it all day if it's a red card.
Especially when the game is stopped.
But what happens later in the game that is checked and given a red card is probably, in my opinion, not as strong as what's happened with Harry Kane earlier in the game. So if you want evidence of when they should intervene, look at Andy Robertson on the 77th minute. That's the thing. And listen, it's not. I don't want to take away from the game itself because it was a mad game of football. It was a mad game of football.
It was a great game to watch. It was a great watch.
And really, you know what? Like, I have issues over this COVID stuff and Spurs and Manchester United in particular. But I might leave that till later because some people think I'm right, some people think I'm mad. But I've issues there, and I actually blame the Premier League more than I blame the clubs. Just so
I don't blame the clubs
before people. I don't blame the clubs from putting something forward, but I do blame the Premier League for what has gone on. Sean Casey says, this is a nice one. Just want to say thank you for the content, boys. It does help with people's mental health. So Merry Christmas to all of you. Let's chill. You'll never walk alone. Yeah, listen, we enjoy doing this, and if you enjoy watching it, we're good. And we get upset like this at times, and we might be a bit calmer later on. There's me, Kev, Keith, and Davo on later, and I'll have cans because I'm not fucking doing another Sunday night.
Yeah, they're going in the fridge, and as soon as we get off here, mine are going in the fridge.
I have to say this quiet so they don't hear me. I've moved loads of shit around the fridge, right? And I've managed to get 12 cans on the top shelf of the fridge, and no one said that, and they're there 48 hours, and no one said anything to me. And I think I've got away with it. Now, the only thing is, if someone goes looking for a bag of grated cheese, they might go, oh, it's usually there, and then they might start asking questions. But at the moment,
until they do,
we're in the clear, Kev, we're in the clear. Reece says both were red, absolutely. But is the ref only allowed to look at a TV under advice, or can they look at the screen when the ball is out of play?
No, Reece, it's under advice.
It is under advice. What's meant to happen is he gives a decision, right? It's a yellow card decision. It could be something where he doesn't give a free at all. But it's an incident where VAR are constantly looking at everything that's going on. They're literally watching the game 5 seconds behind him. And they're meant to call and say, you've given a yellow, but you might need to go and look at this. In one instance he has, and one instance he hasn't. And if they're both reds, I'm good with that, Reece. I'm absolutely good with that. But don't have two examples which are very, very similar. The more harsh, the more aggressive tackle is not looked at, and the less aggressive tackle for me is. And Pete, look, I'm going to get loads of people going, you're being sour over this, you're being that. I'm not. I'm just asking for fucking common sense and a rule to apply in one instance to apply in the next. Paul,
my argument with all of this was Harry Kane's tackle couldn't have been a yellow. You look at the description for what qualifies as a red card. It can either be no card at all, or it's a red. It cannot be yellow. It was like it goes back. It was the same with Harvey Elliott at Leeds. It couldn't be yellow. The decision had to be one or the other. It had to be red or nothing. Because of this, because of the challenge, because of his contact, The only saving grace that he had was Robbo's foot wasn't planted, and Robbo helped him out by being who he is and didn't play act. And we didn't surround the referee.
Yeah, but listen, if Robbo goes down there and rolls around and we surround the referee, right? He doesn't look at that unless someone tells him to look at it.
No.
He gives a yellow card and nobody does a fucking thing until he's told. You know what I mean? Let me see. Emmett has been on the cans all day. So best of luck with that.
It's going to be a pretty picture tonight.
Still on them for the Fatback 4. They're needed today. Listen, the Fatback 4, we have Davo on, who's a man of a lot of sense. Keith is a man of a lot of sense. Kev was a man of a lot of sense. And I'm just going to be a fucking raving lunatic. Because what will happen is I'll go back and I'll watch this. I won't get to see the whole game again. I usually watch the game live and then try watch it again before shows. But I usually get extended highlights and bits and pieces. And then I get really upset at it. People are saying, oh, it's drop points. I do believe it is drop points. Some people
but it could have been a lot worse.
Going, far behind City, blah, blah, blah. Listen, we're 18, 19 games in. It's good. There's vibes of 18, 19 off this, and I don't mean in the sense that we go, and we lose. I think you could see these two pull away and have a right go with each other from now to the end of the season. But
I'd be more worried if we didn't have to play them again.
Yeah, well,
if there was a gap and we'd already played them twice, then I'd be a bit more concerned because you're depending on them slipping up and dropping points.
Yeah, and you don't know what way the Christmas is going to go now with COVID and different bits and pieces. But we're on Robertson. If he's a 3-game ban, if they appeal it, we'll see. But if he's a 3-game ban, I'm happy with Simicast going in there anyway. So
it's no bother.
I'm good with that. If you remember rightly, I think Robertson plays against Chelsea, and there was an uproar, wasn't there, because Simicast didn't play. At Anfield, let me see. The Wonky Donkey says your man Robbo did a fair bit of rolling around himself, the bollocks. And Anthony said it should have been a pen and Kane should have gone. Well, we'll talk about all them things later.
Yeah, we'll get all that.
Well, what we try to on the Fatback 4 is go from initial thoughts. We'll do a lineup. We'll do we'll go through the game as it goes on. We go through the talking points. I'm sure Keith and Davo might have different views to me and Kev. But Liverpool have drawn 2-2 away at Spurs. Filled with a really good game of football, just overshadowed for me by refereeing incompetence. And do you know what? It mightn't have been as good a game of football if he'd have got the decisions right that he should have. But having said that, he still didn't get them right. But look, Kev, we'll be back at 10, won't we?
Definitely. Absolutely.
So, yeah, and if anyone's watching, please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, look, enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll be back at 10 o'clock. I'm off to sort this show out and sort the next show out and have it up on YouTube so your bell icon that Kev is mad into will go off as soon as we go live. Kev, anything else before we go? No.
Roll on 10 o'clock.
Good stuff. Roll on 10 o'clock. Roll on the cans. Emma Kavanagh is going to be on his ear by then. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.